Hello, am I audible? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are going to know something about APIGE. So APIGE is a Google tool. So before I start, so I would ask someone, have anyone given proxy attendance in their classroom? Come on. So what is the what do you do when you give a proxy? What is the definition of when you are giving a proxy attendance? So that means you are representing someone in the class. Myself, proxy. If you are giving a proxy attendance of someone, that means you are representing him as himself. Not he is not present, but you are representing him, right? So that's what proxy is. So API tool, APG tool, what it does it's depict a proxy tool between the API, the server, and the client. So basically, it is a bridge where a client is there, a server is there, and in between it communicates with the server and the client in respect to both of them. So why do we do that, right? Why do we need a bridge or maybe a platform or tool to communicate with API? We can directly communicate with APIs. So first of all, security. So I'm not exposing my my APIs. I'll make a dummy URL, provide to the client. Client will call that particular URL, which APG will convert into the target API and will call to the API management system or the backend. Secondly, the other thing, one of the other important important use is, have you when you buy something in Big Billion Day, right? A product get crashed, not the whole website, right? It happens when you buy an iPhone. Say that particular page get crashed, not the whole application get crashed. So what happens there is that particular URL has a throttling effect. I mean, throttling is there. So at say per second, it can handle only 200 API calls. More than that, it will send an error. The screen or the page is unavailable. What is the advantage? The whole application is not getting down. That particular page or the site is the page is getting down for fraction of seconds. The next second it will be up again. It will handle the traffic, right? So what else advantage we do have when we are using APG? Say I have a API, right? But I don't have any authentication. But I need an authentication. We can create a API authentication in APG to call that API. When client will call to the APG, it will have a authentication through which it will call the APG, and then APG will directly call to the API, the backend, and the response will be given as required. One more example. Say I'm using an application and you are having a APIs. So your API response is in JSON, but I need in XML. Will you convert it for me? When you are already developed it, everything is done. So here APIGEE will convert it into XML and provide it to client. Backend, there is no required change in backend. This is few of the advantages of having a tool like APIGEE for security purpose, for management purpose, right? So we'll look into that. Yeah. If it acts as a middleman, I need my APIs to be exposed. So what is the latency it might get? Latency is not huge. There is a latency. I won't deny it. But see, there's two kind of a latency is there. So here I'll give you example. I'll give you a scenario. What is happening is when you call to APIGEE, APIGEE will give the response, and then there is a latency of few microseconds that is there. But there is one more factor is there. For example, I give a call to APIGEE, and APIGEE give a call to API in the backend, but the response is delay in the background, right? But client won't wait for so long. APIGEE will give a response, error response, while your backend is still processing. So it is a error response till now. But it can, if directly you call, it will get crashed. But whereas APIGEE is here what will he do at a particular time? If he doesn't get a response from the backend, he will give a response, error response, and it should be handled in the client side. Right. So backend still, and it will may say I have encountered in few days along my project. What happened there, when I was giving a call to the APIGEE, APIGEE was giving me error, but whereas the process was not content. Process was the web method, the API wasn't giving the response at that particular time, so it was a error response. The backend took 9 seconds for the response, whereas APIGEE gave me around less than 5 milliseconds. Sorry. So that these are the few things which can be handled easily. Can we delete this to sync with the backend or wait for certain amount of? Yeah, that can be done. That can be done. So rather than calling it a proxy, that's why my understanding is actually an API gateway. Yeah, it is a API gateway, but the word we use it is as a proxy gateway, because. Or you can also say nowadays platforms like APIGEE, they have become like API management platform. Yeah, API management platform. That's what. That's here. I've written that. So what is done is like is a platform to develop and management APIs, create proxy layers between the backend and the client. What I explained. It's called the proxy service to the service from the backend. So that's what I said. If you have a different URL and the target URL is different, so that is the difference here. It does not expose your backend directly to the client. Once receive the request, it validate and process the backend service. So say something. I spoke about the authentication, the security purpose. So whenever the client is sending an API, it validates it, and then it send it to backend and vice versa. From vice versa, what is coming, what not to be sent, is also managing that thing. It is a layer feature which will have, and you can see this. I won't be reading one by one. So, is there any question regarding this topic, or means this statement, this points? I can explain you that. It's also monitor the logs, the data, and what are the sequence. I'll come to that part in the portal itself, where it's what is happening and when. How difficult it is to integrate? So there is. I'll come that there is two parts. The next slide is about that. So it's not that difficult, but it's costly. It's costly. No, it's not. 3 months we are getting free. And there is one, but I haven't used that. There is one. There is one. I haven't used that. Yeah. Do you have any questions? Okay. So basically, it's the same thing. What is the key features is the API design and development. You can design your code and response. If there is a response, you can design that. You can send whatever response you need. You can manage the whole thing. You can also analyze and monitor your APIs. What is the traffic coming to your APIs? What is the means you can manage like this is the point means maybe 1,000 call per minute I want. That kind of management is secure. It is access controllable. Access controllable means authentication through uh, is API lifecycle is management is there, and development and engagement. So these are the key features of the API. So here, what I'm talking about the development part, installation part. These are the few things. So basically, we'll look into the two aspects. What is APGH and APGX? The basic layman, you can say what is the difference is APG is in frame and APGX is a cloud. So when a client need to host its own API APG in their mainframe system, so that can be in their own private area data center, then APG edge is required. When you want to deploy it in a cloud, then APGX is required. This is the core difference of this APGX and APGH. So APG public cloud is hosted in APG cloud managed by APG. APG edge for private cloud, customers private data center managed by customer, Google Cloud, and managed by APG. And hybrid is both a mix and match. This is the uh, difference between APGH and APGX. While going forward, I'll be working in APGX as it is cloud-based. Here, our term policies. So policy is nothing but kind of a package which can be added to your APIs so that it can do its work. For example, to convert, as I said, to convert from XML to JSON, there is a package. So here you can JSON to XML, XML to JSON. That you add that package, it will convert itself into that format of particular response. Then there are others. There are many policies. So it is a policy is an edge component that you can attach to different point in the message flow from your API proxies. So I'll explain you this later when we are doing the practical and when I'm demonstrating how it's done. So that then it will be more visible and you can understand much more regarding this. I think this is okay. So let's us dive into the how does it work. Okay. So first of all, the first thing is setup, right? So you need to set up a project. To set up a project, you need to open a configure APGX. Okay. Once you just okay, it's all actually it's already set up. That's why it's not coming. Okay, we'll skip this part because I'm already logged in, so it's not taking. What happened? I'll explain you that. So it will take me to a place where you need to configure yourself, where first of all you need to make billing, enable your billing. So 3 months we are free, and then it will be closed. Uh, After that, if you want to start, it will be billable. So you can try it for 3 months, and if you want more for the next one, you can use another email ID. That will be my better way of choosing that. Okay, so this is, so once you create it, mm, once you set up your application, yeah, once you set up your application, you will get your IP. Uh, yes, IP. You will get a IP through which you can make the API calls. So you can make a IP, or you can give your own. Just a minute, I'll show you that. Right. Okay. So here, this is the IP which is required to make an API. As if now, for the beginners purpose, you will use this IP as a base URL to call this particular API. So to so let's dive into how to create a proxy, API proxy. So there is a API proxy. Go to create, give the name of a proxy. You give something, give the base URL, then the target URL. These three things are required. Once you provide this and create, it will create a base URL. So basic API. Okay, just yes. So this is my base URL, which I spoke about. V1 is my base URL, and if I expand it all, target is not being shown here. Okay. So we can. I'll show you what my target is. So let's come to the development part. So when in the development part, you can see proxy endpoint and target endpoint. We need to understand between what is the proxy endpoint, what is the target endpoint. The proxy endpoint is uh, the client calling to APIGE. The whole part is called proxy endpoint. Whereas target endpoint is uh, whatever APIGE is calling to backend and the response. That is the target endpoint. So in proxy endpoint, you will see pre-flow and post-flow. And same way in target endpoint, you will see, I haven't added it, it's the basic, it won't have any response. So it is also, you will find means pre-flow, target pre-flow and post-flow. Rather, this is not the better example, I suppose. Uh, if you got data conversion. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. What I was, yeah, this is the base URL. This is my target URL. The data will come from this particular URL, but I'll call this URL as a client. So for here are my some Postman APIs. I have already created those. Mm, This is the IP which I spoke about. This is the my base URL, right? I'll call this before that. For that, I'll go to debug, select eval, and start debugging. So what will happen is when I call this one, this is the response I get, right? It is in XML. Yeah, this is an XML response. You can see, right? And it is coming from, just a minute, why didn't it call anything? Data conversion time, data conversion. Just let me save, deployed, debug, select, start debugging. Okay. Sorry, just a minute. Let me check everything. Yeah. Okay, now it worked. Okay, so this is another of one, the same. This is giving me a JSON response, right? This is JSON response, and I have called to this slash target proxy. But what my, right? You can see that, right? Yes. So, but my target was, as I mentioned, in developer tool, if I go to target flow, this was my target, right? If I call this thing, it will give the same response, right? So I am not directly calling to this particular URL. What I did it, I made a proxy URL, which I provided to the client. The client is calling to APIGE, then APIGE is calling to this particular API, getting the response and sending back to the client. So here you can see this is the pre-flow and post-flow. So pre-flow and post-flow has some XML tags which will add something here to understand that how it later will develop something for more for better understanding. So now, just a minute again. Mm, Yeah. Okay. So this is the first part where client send the uh, calls the API to APG. So everything starts from here. This is the pre-flow, what we saw in that debugging thing. This is a pre-flow. This is condition. If there is any condition, it will check the condition. It will, if there is some header to be added, it should add. It wants to subtract some header. In this particular place, it will subtract the header. It will compile everything. And then this is the post target flow. Yes, uh, uh, target request flow. And then here it will send to the client. Sorry, the backend. Once it's reached to the backend, the same procedure happens. This is the first instance where backend sends the response back. Here, the same target response flow started. Then here comes, here is the, it goes to the response is sent back to the client. Yes, send back to the client. And then what happens here, the analytics and the monitoring part is saved, means communicated or saved or whatever they want to do, that has been. Why, you might have a question, why it is done later, right? Not before sending to the client. It sends to the client and then it's saved into the response, and save the response, save the analytics, everything is done after it is sending the response. So you might have a question why it is done later, not before, to save the response time, right? If we save it before, the response time may get delayed. So once we are sending it, then we are saving, so that the response time is saved here. Okay, this is a small structure of what of APG, how it works. Now, say suppose I want, as I said, XML to HTML, I want to add a policy. Logs as in uh, once traffic that has to be incorporated. Logs has to be incorporated. There is here you can see, right? Post flow is written there. Then there is a request response. So after here, we can add client uh, client flow. Something I forgot the name. Uh, Post client flow, or yes, post, I have my. There's a I forgot the name. Flow was there, client was there. So what term is there? Proxy client, proxy client. Proxy client, inside the proxy client, you will add a step. Inside that step, you will add the name. In that particular name, you will add a policy, which I mentioned earlier, the policies. The policy will log all your record to the wherever you require. Okay, that is the way. So, as I mentioned, we need to convert this response, right? This is a JSON response. We require to this response as an XML. We need to convert into XML. So what is the best place? So you know where to start, where it started and where it end. You know, you have some idea now what is the target response, what is that proxy endpoint and target endpoint, right? Oh, pre-flow, post-flow, and pre-flow, post-flow of target response. So what do you think where we can add the policy to get the best result? target endpoint. Yeah. Why? So yeah, after response is coming, then only we can convert, not before that, right? So what we'll do is we'll select it here. We'll get to step. You can see steps, right? We'll click on step. Yeah, policies, components. We'll add this, right? Add it. Now we need to save it. Saved. Now you can see what is the, here you can modify management. As I said, you can manage the response, right? Here you can do your management work. It is a default structure. I'm using that particular default structure as if now. If you require, you can manage here. You can edit this code. It's all editable. Okay. Once you save, you need to deploy it. Deploying takes a bit of time. Yeah, it will take, let it complete. It's not completed. So yes, let it be. It will take time. So I have already done that here, I think. No, not here. Data conversion only we did. Yeah. So here you can see we have added this policy, right? Once deployed, we need to check, get this version. This is the version. Every time you deploy, there will be a new version. So there is a reversion. So if I deploy this again, a new version will come. So once this deployment is done, so you can see here the same way. Just endpoint, not here. Okay, so showing here. Okay, so this is already added. So what, this is development tool. Now we can go to the debugging tool. So debugging tool, what is there? You select the environment. This is my environment. You need to set up while you are setting up your table. This APIGEE environment will be set up there. You need to set up this environment and start debugging. Once you start debugging, then the API call which is made, it will logs everything, what is happening, what is not. So if I make a call here again, okay. So now the same thing has converted into XML, right? So you can see this one. So everything is same. What is the difference now is, you can see this policy is added here. So before getting out, this policy is converting that JSON into XML. Then whatever the desired response the client required, that has been served. This is one of the policy. So we'll see few more policies around this. So one thing I have also, a few minutes ago, I explained about that throttling thing. Throttling are two type of throttling is there. One throttling, say suppose in every minute I can have 5 response, right? That can be anytime. That means say in a minute I'll have 5 requests. I'll enable 5 requests, not more than that. And say in first 5 seconds, I completed 5 requests. The next whole 1 minute, it won't pass. It will return as a error. After 1 minute, it will only send me the request. It will allow the request. And there is another way. Say the same thing. In 1 minute, I'll pass 3 requests. So it will divide into itself into seconds. So 3 means 20 seconds, one request. In 20 seconds, it will say, I give you a small example, say I 10,000 requests in 10 seconds. So it will divide every second into this much many requests. And there is another way where 10 seconds, 10,000 requests. In 1 minute, you can attempt 10,000 requests. Rest 9 seconds, it will be saying you are not allowed. Two way of throttling is this. So one is spike and there is quota. Spike, which will divide it, and quota, it will won't divide it. These are the two policies there which help you for throttling. So what I'm displaying is route spike rest. So it will allow every second or 10 second. So if I can see, say 3 p.m. means 3 call per minute. Every 20 second it will call 3. That is a means every 20 second it will be having one API call. Rest it will give you an error. So if I go to here, this I'll give you a means there is a bug. I think I haven't used it properly, but I can showcase it what is happening it, but it's not foolproof yet. I need to look into this. So if I make a API call this to this one, 1, 2, 3. Oh, this was spike means you can allow n number of time in that particular. You can use it as at an instant. So at third one, I gave an error. I got an error. It is not allowed, right? Kind of it's not allowed. Spike arrest violation, allowed rate given this particular time, and policy rate is limit for spike rate. So it won't allow. Say again, I'll say it gave me the same, it gave me the result. Again, I'll give, it will give me the error. This means what? It is abstracting huge data inflow. It is abstracting due data inflow at that particular time. It is not down. Is not passing all the APIs, all the call. There, what will happen? My application won't crash. Just this API means response. What you see in the big billion day, this page, this it is not available. It is 404 or whatever you get for that particular page. The whole application. Other you can buy different thing and that particular time. So you can see, you will see something is down, again after 2 minutes it is up, right? You can buy in the next 2 minutes. This is the reason why it's happening. Okay, so next, let's move into one more policy, that is authentication policy. One of the security. So I tried a small proxy, just a basic authentication. This is the API authentication. Same way we'll use it. This will policy will add this policy before the call preflow, and in the proxy and proxy endpoint, there will add this policy and it will authenticate. But where will I get the API? I don't have an API in background, right? So there is a portal, right? You need to register in this portal. This is APIGEE portal. you need to register themselves. If you go to the API, you can see these are the target endpoints. I have already registered. I'm logged in here. First of all, you need to register yourself, create an account. You can, after creating an account, you need to register yourself. So you can, here are the list of APIs which can be used for authentication. Authentication API, I have used this one. This can use the authentication API. We'll come into this part later. Okay. Okay. So where do these are the list of APIs. So I was saying, where do I get the API keys, right? So here you can create an app. Once you create this app, you fill up everything, right? Which all APIs you need to enable for this authentication. Say you created one API for authentication, another key for basic API or conversion proxy, anything. So different API key can be created for different URL, right? That has to be passed to the client. So say this is my API key, which I have created, right? I can copy this API key here in the params. I passed API key and my key. And if I send this one, this will be authenticated and then it will be giving me response. Say suppose I don't provide the API key, it will fail. So it is authenticating in the API level, APG level. It's not sending request to the client if it is not authenticated. My API doesn't have authentication, but I can create an authentication before my before I call to authentication so client. So if I give a, say if I give a wrong one, still it will give a auth error. So this is most simple one which I showed you. There are many form of authentication here. Uh, it can also happen. Say suppose one URL is there that will return you a token. That token, which is two-factor auth 2 authentication, right? What happens in auth 2? Once you call an API, it provides you a token. That token can be used to call another API for authentication. That can also be done. So API means our endpoint doesn't have, the target API doesn't have authentication. Every authentication is present in APG. Anything else? Basic. This is quota, but it's not working, so it's useless to show me. I tried myself, but I couldn't make it work before coming here. So these are the policy I have been used till now. So now you can use this. So as I show, these are whole lot of policies you can use. Quotas, as I say, is a throttling packages component. These two, response catch, lookup catch. Many of them I still don't know. I have to go through. Basic authentication, XML thread protection, JSON thread protection, regular. So these are the traffic management packages, components, policies. These are all authentication policies. Everything here is authentication policies. Next year, whatever meditation is there, like whatever is more features is required, some key, some conversion or some transformation is required, you can have. You can also implement GraphQL here, right? And these are extensions which can be used. So till now, today till here. I have prepared till here. So if you have any question, you can ask me. If you want, I can come up with more policies and more detailed uh, explanation about the policies if required in the next video. This was a brief introduction to APIGEE. Do anyone have any questions? Uh, do anyone have any questions from who have joined from the online? Sontuda, Azhar, and
No, I don't have.
Muttu.
No, I'm good. Good.
Okay, then. Thank you so very much. We'll end this today's session.